China has achieved a major breakthrough in lunar exploration by successfully sending the Chang'e 6 mission to the backside of the Earth's satellite. After launching on May 3, 2024 from the Wenchang Cosmodrome, this ambitious project is the first ever to return lunar soil samples from the dark side of the Moon. Chang'e 6 follows in the footsteps of China's previous successful lunar missions, such as the famous Chang'e 4, which landed on the backside of the Moon for the first time in history in 2019. The current mission consists of several components: an orbital module, a landing module with a reentry stage, and a capsule to deliver samples back to Earth. The landing module is planned to collect about 2 kilograms of lunar soil and rock, including samples from up to 2 meters deep in Apollo crater in the Pole-Aitken Basin at the Moon's South Pole. These rare samples may shed light on the early history and geologic evolution of our natural satellite. Once collected, they will be flown back to Earth, with the entire mission taking about 53 days. However, landing on the backside of the Moon presents a major technical challenge. It's not just that this part of the Moon is always facing away from Earth, making direct communication with the landing module impossible without relay satellites. The terrain here is also much more hilly and rife with craters, making landing and navigation difficult. China has solved these problems in previous Chang'e missions by launching dedicated relay satellites like Qikio to provide communications. The current mission underscores the Middle Kingdom's ambitious plans in space, including establishing a permanent lunar base by the 2030s and sending the first Chinese astronauts to the Moon as early as 2030. The Chang'e 7 and Chang'e 8 missions, scheduled for 2026 and 2028, will continue to explore the Moon's polar regions and test technologies to utilize local resources. These steps are part of China's plan to become a leading space power by 2049, the centennial of the founding of the PRC. Moreover, the Chang'e 6 mission also has a geopolitical dimension, challenging current Western dominance in space and advancing Beijing's vision of international cooperation in space exploration. The China-led International Cooperation Organization for the establishment of the International Research Station on the Moon, which includes countries like Russia, seeks to establish new principles for lunar exploration and resource utilization. As for the other BRICS countries, they have all made significant strides in space exploration with their unique contributions to space technology and research. For example, Brazil has developed and launched several satellites, including the first fully national remote sensing spacecraft, Amazonia 1. At the same time, Brazil actively cooperates with the United States, China, India, and other countries. Russia, the successor to the USSR, has achieved many firsts in the space race, including the launch of the first artificial satellite and the first man in space, Yuri Gagarin. Now, the Russian Federation is making significant contributions to the ISN planning future lunar and Martian missions. India in 2014 became the first Asian country to manage to put its spacecraft into Mars orbit. Its Chandrayaan lunar missions discovered traces of water on the Moon. China has made impressive achievements in its Chang'e lunar program, including the first soft landing on the backside of the Moon with Chang'e 4 and sample return with Chang'e 5. The Zhuzhong mission to Mars made China the third country after the United States and Russia to land and deploy a rover on the Red Planet. Meanwhile, China is actively building its own orbital station, Tiangong, which is expected to be fully operational by 2022, demonstrating the country's growing capabilities in manned spaceflight. South Africa has also contributed by building the Meyer-Cat radio telescope to participate in the ambitious International Square Kilometre Array project, one of the largest scientific endeavors of the 21st century, designed to revolutionize the study of the universe. South Africa has launched a number of satellites for Earth remote sensing and scientific research. Space cooperation among the BRICS countries has strengthened considerably in recent years. In May 2022, they formally established the BRICS Joint Committee on Space Cooperation. It aims to deepen cooperation in satellite remote sensing and data exchange to address global challenges in environmental protection, disaster prevention, and climate change. The BRICS countries have formed a virtual association of their remote sensing satellites, including China's Gaofen 6 and ZI-3-02, the joint Brazil-China CBERS-4, Russia's Canopus VIR, And India's RISERSAT-2 and RISERSAT-2A data from these vehicles are used to monitor climate change, natural disasters, environmental conditions, and important infrastructure. The ground segment of the virtual constellation includes data reception and processing stations on Hainan Island, China, Quahaba, Brazil, Moscow, Russia, Hyderabad, India, and Hartbeespoort, South Africa. This pooling of satellite constellations and ground infrastructure among the BRICS countries reflects their growing desire to strengthen their position in space by reducing their dependence on Western space systems and increasing their influence on global space governance. This cooperation also showcases the technological achievements of the participants and serves as a platform for strengthening diplomatic ties, such as the oldest joint Brazil-China CBRS remote sensing satellite program. In the future, the BRICS countries expect to expand cooperation in space by developing new joint projects, including possibly more ambitious interplanetary research missions. This reflects their desire to consolidate their position against the backdrop of intensifying rivalry between the West, led by the United States, and the Eastern Bloc, led by China and Russia. Such tensions between the competing space blocs are fueled by geopolitical rivalries and the growing militarization of space by great powers that view it as a critical domain for national security. The development and testing of anti-satellite weapons by the United States, China, and Russia increase the risks of potential conflicts in space. For its part, the U.S. Artemis program seeks to return humans to the Moon as early as 2025 and establish new rules of the game for the development and extraction of resources on the Moon, Mars, and other celestial bodies. In opposition to these plans, China and Russia have joined forces for their own lunar projects, including a joint international lunar station, demonstrating their strategic convergence and intent to offer an alternative to current American dominance in space. Thank you for watching this video. If our content has inspired or interested you, please support us by liking and subscribing to the channel. Your support is very important for our further development. I wish you success and bright impressions in learning the mysteries of the universe.